Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'll pull up the instructions and we can read along together. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Are you able to see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so the first thing that we're supposed to do is talk about what health literacy is and why it's important. So maybe we can just both share our ideas on that.
Okay. Well, I know one of the big reasons health literacy is important is because it helps us understand things about health, helps us interpret and uh, understand health related information.
I think health literacy is important. I don't know, just personally, I think it's important to know about our bodies and how it works. Like when we're in a doctor's office, I think it would help us understand um, like potential problems that could arise or things that we can do in our life now to prevent potential illnesses or diseases. So I think health literacy could help with that. And on a professional level, as we're preparing to enter into the medical field, I think health literacy would just allow us to be in a better position to teach others. I mean, as we understand certain health topics, we'll be able to teach different people, help them.
Yeah, because if we don't have health literacy, how are we supposed to teach other people?
Exactly. Cool. All
Give
right.
me a
So,
second.
sorry, what was that?
I said, just give me a second.
Okay.
Here we go. Ow. There we go. Got to turn the system volume down. That way I don't go deaf. All right.
Right. So the next question is review the Shannon-Weaver model's 7 key components. Maybe we can just read through it. So I can start and we can just like each take one as we go.
Okay.
So the first one is sender, the person or source for the information to be communicated. This would be the initiator of communication. From a health communication perspective, the sender would be the individual, organization, or agency that originated a health message.
Okay. Encoding, the way information is packaged for transmission. When a message is encoded, it is put into a particular language or symbols that are expected to be decoded by the intended receiver. In the movie Wind Talkers, the military used Navajo language to transmit military information so that the enemy could not decode the information because they had no one who spoke Navajo. You may use abbreviations when you send text messages that you are certain the recipient will understand. Putting your message into those abbreviations is encoding.
That's cool. What are some other examples of encoding? I don't know. I was trying to think about it when I read through it.
Going back to what we've discussed about before with the truth um, health campaign, the encoding there for just driving home how many people die each day of tobacco related issues would be the number of body bags that they were able to pile around and how high they were piled, because it conveys just the sheer number. It's you can put the number on a screen, but it really drives the point home when you're hauling out numerous body bags and piling them around a building.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder if just like certain terms that different cultures use that are just like specific to that culture could be encoding?
Yeah, there. I would say so because there's phrases in foreign languages that just don't translate into other languages.
Mm-hmm.
An example of this would be the Japanese, basically idiom "kimochi warui."
Okay.
The closest we have in English to that is it feels like somebody's walking on my grave, but that doesn't come anywhere near the meaning behind "kimochi warui."
Okay. Wow. So is that like a specific dialect or?
No, it's just Japanese language. If I'm remembering the way it's written correctly, it's basically saying someone's spirit and their energy are bad,
Okay.
but it goes deeper than that with the way it's meant when it's said.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, they have a lot of Hispanic phrases or Spanish Latin phrases like that as well, where it's hard to translate and actually.
It's a situation where you can say in a sentence what to translate it into English would take several paragraphs.
Yeah, true. Awesome. Okay, I think we got encoding down. So the third one is message, the package of information to be communicated. This really refers to the content of what is being communicated. It can be simple or complex, which also relates to the length of the message and how easily it can be decoded and interpreted. I think a message, I don't know, just talking about the length of the message is important. If you just want someone to know something really quick, like smoking kills, like on a billboard, they wouldn't write a whole paragraph if someone's driving past it because they don't have time to read it. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think
Yeah, and the length of message really is determined by
yeah,
the channel that's being used. Because, like you said, you're not going to put a whole paragraph on a billboard
yeah,
that's meant to hit drivers. You might do it on a billboard where you know there's a lot of pedestrian traffic going through the area, and if you're trying to hit the pedestrian traffic, because you make it large enough, they're going to be able to read it for a while as they're walking by up to it and so forth.
or even like saving those long messages for like a course or want to learn how or why it's so harmful. And then at that course, I don't know, they can have like more in-depth details.
Mm-hmm.
How
And sometimes the message you're trying to get across is much more effectively done in a short burst rather than um, having a long thing. Like, especially if you're trying to move a group from the I can't, my brain just pre-contemplation into contemplation using last week's model. If you're that targeted audience, you're wanting to, you can just do a snippet message over like a PSA radio announcement or the billboard or whatnot, something that you can just kind of oversaturate the market with that gets people thinking about that subject in the target group.
even like on PowerPoints, I've always been told like keep them like make sure the bullet points are brief when you're presenting in a class and you can expound on it like on your own. But as far as a visual for someone to look at, it's better when it's just like very brief and concise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, channel. The medium used to transmit the encoded message. Typical channels that are used in everyday life include face-to-face communication, telephone, email, newspaper, radio, television, and website. Any or all of these channels can be used to communicate a specific message. A health communication In health communication, channels are selected strategically based on what media the target audience is thought to use most.
Makes sense.
Yeah. One of the things that's pointed out is like for a condom use campaign here in the States, you'd use Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, things like that, because that's where your target audience, the high schoolers and college kids, are going to get hit with it the most.
Yeah, I agree.
Because most of them, even if they're watching stuff on Hulu, a lot of them nowadays are paying the higher price now to get commercial free Hulu.
So true.
Not like back in the day when you couldn't avoid the ads on Hulu.
Even just think about specific ads that are shown on maybe sports channel, like they're targeting that audience, you know.
Oh, the number of beer commercials.
I know. Well, it's true. Channels are important. All right. Decoding, the way the message is unpackaged following transmission. As the sender encodes messages into a form that they believe the receiver will understand, the receiver decodes the message based on their knowledge and experience, as well as the context of the message.
Yeah. I think some of the things that you see come across as memes on Facebook illustrate this um, very well. There was a text message conversation where a mom asked what IDK and TTYL meant to her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And the daughter responded with, "I don't know, talk to you later." And the mom responded back, "Okay, I'll call you, ask your sister."
That's so funny.
So it's right there, you've got a problem with the way the daughter encoded her response and saying IDK means I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
and TTYL means talk to you later.
Yeah.
Instead of doing that, where it would have very much explained to the mother what it meant, she just did answered the question of I don't know, talk to you later.
Yeah.
And because of the way it was encoded for the transmission to the mother completely misunderstood.
Yeah, so I think like as health professionals, it's important to know like maybe your target population's level of understanding or
Mm-hmm.
different.
Also, avoid ambiguities.
Yeah, so true. I think that could allow you to communicate effectively to them.
Mm-hmm. All right, receiver.
Is it my turn or your turn?
My turn.
Okay.
The person or target audience of the information communicated. Messages can be sent to an individual receiver or to masses of receivers, depending on the intent of the message and the channel used. So yeah, that's simply just
Yeah.
self-explanatory. It's
Uh-huh.
whoever you're targeting.
Yes. Okay, I'll do noise. Any of a variety of types of interference at any point during the process. Noise can be things that interrupt the sender, such as things going on in the background, or things that distract the receiver, such as hunger, preoccupation. Noise can also occur in the channel, such as a slow internet connection, static on the television, or a dropped cell phone. When I read this, I just thought about missionary lessons and like some of the noises, like quote unquote, that were in different lessons.
Yeah, in the church, in Japan, there is a term called kyokaigo,
Wait, did you
which
say
means
Japan?
I did not serve in Japan. I served in Kentucky. I was studying Japanese to become a translator or interpreter until I hit a class that I just could not pass because my learning style didn't mesh with the instructor's teaching style, and that teacher was the only one that taught that class.
Oh, wow.
So I was kind of SOL.
That's
But
cool.
it's not until you study a foreign language that you really learn that we actually have our own subset language within the church, within any culture.
Oh, yeah.
Because I did a study abroad to Japan,
Mhm.
and I was able to understand enough and speak enough to get by day-to-day stuff.
Mhm.
But even though being at BYU, we'd had some of the Kyokai Go as part of our lessons, it was like being in Outer Mongolia going to church.
Yeah. Like I took sorry.
You took what?
It's super static. Okay.
Noise in the channel!
I don't even know. I don't remember what I was gonna say. My anthropology class. I just learned about like different terms that we think everyone else knows, but they really don't. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I just because they're things we use daily, weekly, we kind of expect other people to use them as well, but really not.
Well, and most people, when we talk about the Godhead within the church, if they're coming from the outside, they think of the Trinity.
Yeah.
Whereas when someone starts speaking of the Trinity, we think of the Godhead.
Mm-hmm.
And the concepts are two very different things.
Sure.
Godhead being three individuals with the same goal, whereas the Trinity is three faces of the same individual.
Mm-hmm. So true. All right. So we did number two. To number three, we're gonna watch this video. I started watching it and I'm like, I don't want to ruin it. I'll just watch it with Andy, like at the same time, and then we can discuss.
No, I don't know though. I'm scared. Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
I actually remember that commercial being on TV.
Live today.
Oh my goodness.
And now I want nacho fries.
I mean,
Thanks, teacher.
oh my gosh. Okay, so it says evaluate the PSA or the public service announcement and discuss the components as well as the message to you. So the PSA would just be the video. I think that was very, like, they got their point across to me.
Yeah, it makes me think of the there's an ad that plays on WIBC Freedom 95 here in Indianapolis. My mom listens to it all the time. It's what was it? At highway speeds, the average text takes 5 seconds, which is enough time to travel the length of a football field.
Wow.
And so it's like with all these kind of PSAs about not texting while you drive, it's like, how can people still do that?
I know someone said it to me this way, and I was just like, whoa. They're like, texting and driving is like closing your eyes and driving. Try driving and closing your eyes for
5 seconds.
Would you do it? I'm like,
no.
And they're like, well, that's exactly what you're doing when you're texting and driving.
It's actually, if I remember correctly, there's been someone did a study that's not been repeated yet, where it's actually safer to drink and drive than it is to text and drive.
Oh, wow. And so many people do it. It's scary.
Oh, yeah. And then you have the idiots like my sister that say, I'm such a good driver, that's why I can do it while I text while I drive. I'm like, wait, what?
I'm too scared to do it.
It's like, the fact that you're texting while driving isn't a sign of how good a driver it is. It shows that you are a very bad driver. Very bad driver that's very lucky.
I don't know. In the video too, it was just like, your choices impact others on the road. If you're going to choose to text and drive, you could be affecting children, a family, you know, like a mother, a father, a child. It's like, people don't think that way, but I'm sure there's so many people that have gotten hurt and maybe even lost their lives because of someone texting and driving.
Well, and there's also a deeper message here than if you really think about it, than just texting takes your eyes off the road and that can cause fatalities. There's the deeper message there of every action we take affects those around us, whether we realize it or not. An example I've heard all the time growing up at church is, so you're grown up, you're out with some people from work, and they know you're Mormon, and they see you drinking with someone that's outside of your group from work that knows you're a Mormon, sees you drinking there at the bar. You could be drinking Sprite or even ginger ale, but from the point of view of that person,
they don't know what's in your cup.
They don't know what's in your cup.
Yeah.
And especially if it's something like ginger ale, it's going to look like a light beer.
Yeah.
And so that choice of not avoiding the appearance of evil has an effect on that person's view of not only you, but the church.
Yeah, it's true. Very true. All right. Is there anything else that you think should be discussed concerning the video? I think we kind of covered everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't quite beat the horse to glue, but.
All right. So B says, what components are strong and what could they have done differently? I think the fact that they brought a family in allows everyone to relate, you know? Everyone to relate to the situation, because everyone has a family. Everyone has someone that they love, you know? And so it allows you to be, what's the word? I don't know. It allows you to
put yourself in the situation.
Put yourself in that situation, exactly.
For something that could have been done better, at least to me, is also have the mother texting.
Oh, wow.
Because right now, the way it's set up is it's focused more at a teenage driver. And yes, studies have shown they're the ones more likely to be texting. But as the cell phones become more integral of our lives, and especially as that population gets older, they need to be able to put themselves in the position of the mother if the mother's texting, because adults do it too.
Yeah. It's true. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that they could improve or add.
Or make it a series of PSAs where you have the same basic scenario, but
A little different each.
a little
Yeah.
the texture is different in each situation.
Mm-hmm.
Have it be a grandpa in one, have it be a mother, have it be a group of guys, have it be a mixed group,
Yeah.
have it be a guy and a girl on a date where they're both texting.
Yeah. That's true. I think that'd be a great addition. Okay, awesome. I can't really think of anything else to like add on or improve with the video. I thought it was really good and I really liked your ideas. Okay. How did the message change behavior? I mean, I already don't text and drive.
Yeah, and that's the thing is where to make this determination, where was this ad run? Is it actually going to hit the target group?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, I've never seen it, but you said you've seen it.
I remember seeing it on TV, or it was on Hulu or something like that.
Okay.
But that was
Is that a while ago?
8 or 9 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So it's an older ad. Sadly, it's still a relevant ad.
Very relevant. And I think it's needs to be shown more.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this message for other people, like maybe that text and drive, I think this could be like a reality check. Like you're not immune from this. This can happen to you. And or it could happen to your family, you know, or you could harm a family by texting and driving. So
Yeah, I've actually heard some people argue that in the anti-texting laws, the no texting laws for cars, is that the charge that's placed on you for texting while driving should be attempted vehicular manslaughter,
oh yeah.
because you could have killed someone.
Mm-hmm. True.
Just because you didn't swerve into somebody else's lane doesn't change the fact that that's very well what could have happened, and you made a choice that could have led to someone's death.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Definitely. All right. Looks like we answered all of those questions. Should we go ahead and review the application assignment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remembering from looking over it earlier, we've got to apply the action model to 3 different types of PSAs, one for radio, TV, and print, I believe,
Yeah, newspaper.
or website. Yeah.
Okay. Should we read through this? You can take like step 1 and I can do 2.
Not unless you can zoom your screen in, because I can't read it,
Okay,
even with an
sorry
extra.
about
That's all right.
that. Is this better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. I can scoot over though as you're
Yeah.
reading.
Alrighty. Step 1. Refer back to Chapter 11, Health Communications and Social Marketing. Blah, 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 blah. Review the action model of communication, or Shannon Weaver model of communication. Review the 7 key components: sender, encoding, message, channel, decoding, receiver, and noise. For the purpose of this application, you want to identify the 7 key components in different communication interventions and evaluate it to see if and how it changes behavior.
Research on the internet or in your community 3 different communication intervention strategies to evaluate public service announcement, well, so for television, radio, and web banner, billboard, or print. A great source is on Ad Council's website under our campaigns. They have a number of communication intervention examples to look at.
Okay. For each of the 3 examples chosen, identify the 7 key components from the Shannon Weaver model of communication. List the component and then describe in detail the example for each.
Evaluate each example by using the following questions. What impact did the message have on you as the receiver? What noise do you think affects the message on you? Do you feel the message is decoded the same as it was encoded? Why? So for this, are we going to just answer these 3 questions, or did they want us to answer these 3 questions and talk about the components?
I'm going to guess we're needing to list the components like we have with every other application exercise recently, and then describe in detail the example for each. So for each of the 3 types we've got to describe the key component as it fits into that example, and then answer those 3 questions for each.
Right, I'm confused. So components and then describe.
You know how the last 2 weeks with the last 2 models, we've had to list the concepts and describe them.
Yeah.
I would say that taking that model from the last 2 assignments and using it here for that, list the component and then describe in detail the example of each. For each,
basically
do
just
that.
Define it.
Yeah, define it, and then to give examples from within the 3 samples we chose, and then answer these 3 questions for.
So for each of the examples that we've chosen, like up here, you have to say something, like an example from television news, an example from radio, we can use another component, kind of like that.
You just broke up like none other.
Okay. Can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you now.
So I'm wondering if it's just I define each component and then I say something that I found in the television PSA that is to one of those components, and do the same thing for radio and for the web.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm understanding.
Okay. That sounds good. And then type up your response of each example. All right. Well, that's all we have to do for today.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for meeting, Andy.
Yep. Have a good week.
Okay. Thanks. You too.
Bye.